People lose their valuables every day simply because they forget to lock their car doors. Don't be another statistic. Remove all your belongings anytime you leave your car, including valuables and weapons. This is a message from the Marana Police Department, reminding all residents to lock it or lose it.
Enjoy live music in Marana every third Thursday in the fall and spring at the beautiful Marana Municipal Complex Courtyard from 5 to 7 p.m. With theme nights, food trucks, and attractions, this free concert truly is a family-friendly experience. Visit maranaaz.gov/events for the complete schedule.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Town, where I sit down with the Marana staff to answer your burning questions about our beautiful community. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm the town manager for the town, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Talk with the Town. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm your host for Real Talk, and today we have an episode dealing with special events, specifically LIV Golf. And I have on the show with us for the very first time, David Udall. David, go ahead and say hello to our listeners and tell them what it is you do for the town.
Thank you, Terry. Hi, everybody. My name is David Udall. I'm a town clerk and assistant town attorney here at the town of Marana, and I help out with town council meetings in the clerk's office, records management, elections, those types of things. And then on the attorney side, I work with the water department, special events, communications, and a few other client departments.
David, is there anything that you don't do for the town of Marana? That's what we need to know.
Yes.
Well, a couple of things here and there maybe You're not involved with. But yeah, David is a wonderful member of our team, is involved in a lot of different things, and not that long ago became our town clerk. And that was kind of an interesting story in and of itself, not one that we have time for today, because we're going to be talking about special events and specifically, as I said, LIV Golf. But before I do that, just as an icebreaker, I wasn't handed like an icebreaker question today, so I'm just going to ask you, David, as somebody, we have something in common, you and I, and it has to do with children, right?
Yes.
David, tell me, how many children do you have?
I have 5 children.
5 children! And
Yes.
I do too, David, but your children are a little bit younger, so tell me how that went this weekend with 5 children on Easter.
We had a good weekend. So we went up to an Easter pageant on Friday night, and then Saturday we spent some time up there with family. And
nice.
The kids got to see the grandparents, and then we had a little Easter egg hunt over the weekend, and found some Easter baskets, Easter eggs, and we'll find out if we lost any. These are hard-boiled eggs, so we'll find out if we lost any in the next few days.
All right. Well, yeah, that's true. And it becomes a little bit more expensive at Easter with eggs costing as much as they cost right now.
That is true,
But
yes.
I was lamenting before we got started that my wife is still doing Easter baskets for her daughters who are 22 and 20 and their college friends who are at the house, and they're doing Easter basket hunts, and the eggs are stuffed with $5 bills and Chick-fil-A cards. But hey, that's a topic for another day, I guess. But hey, so we have some people in our community who are interested, some of our listeners who are interested in knowing a little bit more about special events. And I'm just going to read a couple of the questions that came in from some of our listeners about LIV Golf specifically. First one is, I seriously wonder why the officials of Marana City, or a town, but that's okay, we'll get that corrected at some point with folks, have allowed the LIV Golf tournament to congest the only road for several thousand residents of Dove Mountain. My main thought is monetary income for the city. I know that the town police department is understaffed and will have a very difficult issue with traffic control during this 3-day period. And then the second was, can you please tell me what kind of revenue LIV Golf brought into the town of Marana? Will the town see any of the money, and what will it be used on? Is it beneficial to our community, and how? So David is here to talk to us a little bit about that and answer some of these questions, because as the town clerk, he deals quite a bit with this, as a attorney for the town. Also reviews a lot of the contracts and things of that nature. So let's start off by just talking about third-party special events in general, what is the process that people have to go through in order to get a special permit license, and what kind of review and approval do we go through for those?
Yeah, thank you, Terry. The first step in the special event process is determining whether or not a special event permit is even required. So the town needs a legal basis to be able to regulate events in the town, and not every event is going to require a special event permit. Some events that are required are on town property, and others are on private property, and we have regulations for both settings. If it's town property, we can have a little more discretion because it's the town's property. If it's private property, we have a little less because some private property rights are involved that we need to regulate accordingly. So for a town property event, these events, if you're going to be providing some entertainment or a festival or selling food or alcohol, if they're parades or block parties using public right-of-way, all of these are going to require a special event permit. On private property...
And why is that? I mean, why do they need to get a special event permit if they're going to be having all these kinds of activities?
Yeah, the main reason is public safety, public welfare, making sure that the event is safe, that the property that the town owns is kept safe, and that citizens, that are adjacent or using traffic that's nearby or things like that, that they'll be kept safe, and that the event will run smoothly and not cause problems in the town.
Okay, and so I love that. So that the event runs smoothly and so that it doesn't cause problems throughout the town. Mm-hmm. So is this a decision that David Udall sits in his office and reviews this information and comes to a conclusion and says, you know what, I agree with this one, let's move forward? Or do you have a little bit of help with that, David?
No, lots of help.
Lots of help.
Yes, exactly. I'm just one piece. Basically, once the special event application comes in, it's circulated among all the subject matter experts. So traffic, police, Northwest Fire, other building and development services, all of them are going to take a look at that. I look at it on legal's end, and everybody puts in their review, puts in their comments. Those are circulated back to the applicant with any additional requirements or conditions, and then there's a decision made as to whether the permit is going to be permitted or denied.
Okay.
At that point.
Give me an example of a time when we might deny a request for a special event permit.
Yes. So it, again, is going to depend on whether it's town-owned property or private property. If it's town-owned property, the town's got more discretion. One example, if the event is on town-owned property, would be if it's not a desired use by the town of the property, then the town can deny it. On the other hand, if it's private property, such as the LIV Golf event, then there are only specific reasons the town can deny that are listed in code, and if it doesn't fit within those reasons, then the permit has to be issued.
And when you say listed in code, it's town code, state law?
Town code.
Town code, okay.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a few examples include, if the applicant fails to meet the conditions of the special event permitting process, if there's a scheduling conflict, or if there's an undue impact on town property, organizations, or resources, if the applicants failed to obtain necessary permits or licenses, such as like if they're having liquor at the event and they fail to get a liquor license, those are reasons that we can deny the permit, but we couldn't deny it just because we don't think it's a desirable use of that property or that location.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You talked about whether it's safe, whether they have a liquor license. I guess whether they have a liquor license, very easy to determine. You either have it or you don't. Whether it's safe or not, what are some of the determining factors that we look at when we determine whether or not a public safety event is safe and whether the impact is, whether it's going to negatively impact the community or not?
Yeah, so we do have our professionals review it. So police is going to review it and determine if it's going to cause public safety issues within the town. Northwest Fire will review both for kind of a structural element, make sure that the tents aren't going to fall down or things like that. And also from a medical perspective, make sure that it's going to be safe. Fire codes are being complied with. Building safety as well as development services are going to take a look at it to make sure, again, that we're not going to have problems there or any permitting issues. And so the town really goes through a pretty extensive process with lots of hands involved. Again, it's not just me. Lots of professionals take a look at the
You don't
materials.
want that kind of power, do you, David?
No. No, not at all. And traffic safety, too. Our traffic safety folks, they do a great job in taking a look at how this is going to impact traffic, what the parking is going to look like. They try to help them put plans in place to mitigate disruptions and that sort of thing.
Very good. So let's talk a little bit specifically about LIV Golf. So the town of Marana, and some of our listeners may not be aware of this if you haven't, if you've only lived here for a couple, 2, 3, 4 years, but the town of Marana used to have a PGA event that it took place every year up at Dove Mountain, actually at the Ritz-Carlton golf courses there, called the Accenture Match Play. It was a pretty popular event for about 4 years, and it's been quite a while. I think it's probably been 4 or 5 years since we had any kind of event like this. And so what are your thoughts about and why LIV Golf would, so we haven't had them for a long time, and all of a sudden this new, not PGA, but LIV, a new golf entity in and of itself, organization, professional golf organization, they decide they want to come back to Marana. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for LIV Golf, but I would imagine part of it is because we do have golf courses in that area in Dove Mountain. It's a very beautiful area, and it's a prime area for that type of activity to take place, especially with the pandemic kind of coming down on as a priority. I think some more of these events, just generally town-wide, are starting to pick up more. But as far as specifics on why they wanted to locate to Marana, I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think I don't want to say it goes without saying, but I think it goes without saying that the Dove Mountain community is one of the prettiest communities in all of Arizona. And they have some of the most wonderful golf courses. And so I'm actually kind of surprised that we haven't had more interest from either the PGA or LIV in the past. So the fact that they're here, it doesn't surprise me at all. This is their first foray into doing a tournament here in the town of Marana. So the process, I think, wasn't quite as clean, perhaps, as what it was with Accenture. We had growing pains with Accenture. I think we had a little bit of growing pains with LIV. Would that be safe to say, Dave?
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's go to the movies. Marana Parks and Recreation presents the free Movies in Marana series on scheduled Saturdays between April and October. Movies start at sundown. Food vendors will be on site. Don't forget to bring chairs and a blanket. Visit maranaaz.gov/movies for the complete schedule.
Why would you want to work for the town of Marana? Well, let's hear what our employees have to say.
I feel like working for the town of Marana makes you feel like a person, not a number.
I really wanted to work for the community where I lived.
I have children that play in the parks.
Working for a public entity, it's kind of a sacred trust. I like that. It's an honor to serve.
The town's mission is to provide 5-star service for a thriving community.
To me, 5-star service comes from within. It's a drive to make your surroundings a better place.
Providing community service like the Founders Day Parade, the swim lessons, clean drinking water.
Of course, the benefits are great.
I get sent to seminars and conferences, and
Town of Marana compensates vacation.
We do have an amazing gym facility, alternate schedules as well. Our employees are also able to telework.
My supervisor in particular really cares about our work-life balance.
My colleagues are fun. It's just a fun place to work.
We have a culture of friendship.
the people in general that work here and apply here all want to make a difference in their everyday life for themselves and for the community.
Let's make an impact on our community. Visit maranaaz.gov/careers and apply now.
Whether you're starting a business or looking to expand in Marana, our Town Development Services staff will walk you through the steps towards success. Learn about business licenses, development permits, business loans, local and state resources, and more. Let's get to work. For more information, visit maranaaz.gov/business development.
Yeah, and that's something that we're looking at as well going forward. We're really trying to update our web pages that relate to special events to make sure that those who are planning events in the town know what's all involved. The more time that we can get, especially for these major events, the better. Just to allow us to go through all the processing that's needed, having all of those professionals be able to review, including outside agencies like the liquor board at the state level, those types of things. And then on our end, we're also looking at making some adjustments to the town code to make a little bit more of a distinction between major events and regular special events that are held here in the town.
So why are we doing that? Why are we taking a look at what we have and making a distinction between major events and kind of your run-of-the-mill everyday events?
Yeah, the primary reason is related to kind of the fee structure that we have. Part of the, so regardless of the size of the event currently, special event permit fee is $50 in our comprehensive fee schedule, with an additional $25 for processing a liquor license application as part of that. So we want to make a distinction on that point, but what it also, I think, will allow us to do as well is to show that these events, these major events, they take more time. They take more time to process. There's more involved. We encourage those who are planning major events to really try to come to the town at least, maybe 60 days, if not more, in advance. Now, the code does not have a specific timeline requirement. It's just enough time to allow us to do our job. But we really hope to get people here sooner so that way they can have a successful event, have a good experience with us as we're processing everything that needs to be processed and preparing for the event.
Okay, so you're telling me that LIV Golf paid $50 for a special, to have this tournament here?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so to say that the town got huge benefit monetarily from this probably isn't accurate, at least not directly, but there's a lot of indirect benefits to the town, to the community as a whole. We'll talk about that here in just a minute, but I want to talk about police services, because that was brought up in some of the questions. People were concerned about, man, it's going to really stretch police services thin. And certainly there were a lot of police officers that were involved with LIV, that were out there at the scene, that were providing security, directing traffic, all of that. Is that on the taxpayer dollars? And who's covering the bill on that? Because that's got to be a pretty penny.
Yeah, it is a pretty penny, Terry. And fortunately, no, the taxpayers are not going to be footing the bill for that. The extra security that was provided by town police officers was in their extra duty capacity. And the town entered an agreement with LIV Golf that provided that LIV Golf would be paying the bill for that security. So that's all paid for by LIV Golf. It's not something that's borne by the citizens of Marana.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that's good for our listeners to know that LIV Golf had to flip the bill for all of the additional security that made sure that traffic flowed well, to make sure that the event stayed safe. We did have some complaints from some of the folks about the noise, because LIV Golf is a little bit different for those of you who don't follow golf, and I'm not one who follows it all that much. But here's what I do know about LIV Golf versus the PGA. PGA is very proper and golf claps. Mm-hmm. And LIV Golf is party hardy, right? So there's music, there's drinks, there's hooting and hollering and all that kind of stuff going on. So we did get some complaints from neighbors about, man, this is so noisy, it's disrupting my peace. What do you say to that?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's one of those things that could be accounted for as a condition in a special event permit, and it may be something that we will take a look at in the future for future events like this. The noise impacts, if there's noise in an event, we either have code enforcement or our police officers go out and talk to the event organizers. My memory was that at least one instance in this case that was done. And they had turned down the volume on some of the music or things like that. I understand the generators were making some noise as well here. And again, those are things that we'll definitely take a look at, take into account as these events come in, and just see if there's any noise mitigation plans or things that can be addressed on the upfront end so that it doesn't have to be addressed after the fact.
Yeah, so do you think LIV Golf is coming back?
I have no idea.
Yeah, me either. People have asked, hey, are they coming back? I heard they got a 3-year contract. I heard they got a 4-year contract. I personally have no idea, folks. I wish I knew the answer to that. Maybe somebody up at the gallery could help you out with that one, but that's not a question that that we can answer for you here on Real Talk with the Town. But so we've been talking about this and for a little bit and just kind of getting to the bottom and to the heart of some of the concerns that people had. And you mentioned the music and the noise and how that can be approached. And I did have an opportunity to talk a little bit to our police chief and some of the folks that were out there providing security for the event. And they did indicate to me anyway, that whenever they approached the organizers for the event about noise concerns, they were very accommodating in trying to mitigate whatever concerns were brought up. I think your point is well made, David, about taking these things that we've learned about now working with LIV Golf for the first time and trying to circumvent those things up front or prevent or address those things up front will certainly be something we'll do here if they end up coming back, and who knows whether or not that's going to be the case or not. But let's talk for a little bit about benefits to the town. Why would the town even? I mean, did the town encourage this? I mean, did we reach out to anybody and say, "Hey, LIV Golf, we want you to come here"?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, no, we didn't. That didn't happen. At least it didn't from me or from David Udall. Vic, did you reach out? No. Okay, producer, editor, writer extraordinaire Vic Hathaway said she did not do that. And I know our economic development guy, Kurt Woody, didn't do it. So LIV Golf came because they saw they had an opportunity and they came to do that. So they end up coming here. What is the benefit to the community at large, and what is the benefit perhaps to the town of Marana, the organization?
Yeah, so I'll just put one caveat in there that I'm not the subject matter expert here. But with that said, I think that it would make sense that, people who came to the town for this event stayed in our hotels or resorts. They, shopped at our shopping locations. They went to our restaurants. All of that's going to bring in revenue, kind of indirectly for the town. Direct revenue, like we talked about earlier, was the $75, the $50 for the permit fee, plus the $25 for the liquor license application. But I think more broadly speaking, you've got people who are coming to the town who are purchasing things here and paying taxes as a result. And it also brings kind of that incidental benefit of notoriety, that some not quite as tangible, but it puts Marana's name out there.
Yeah. So bottom line, you got a figure for me? You got any dollar with some decimals in there any place, David?
I do not.
Yeah,
no.
I don't either. And I talked to our finance guy. He said, "Man, that's really difficult to pin down. Be very, very difficult." But obviously, I think people are familiar enough with how economies work and how they run to know that a big event like this brings in a lot of people, and therefore they spend their money, as David so adequately said, in our hotels, in our restaurants, in our shopping areas and things of that nature. So that's where really the benefit is, and also just being a place that an organization such as the PGA or LIV Golf or some other golf entity would want to come and plant themselves. So the last thing I'm going to cover here with you, David, very controversial topic, the Saguaro Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what in the world happened at Saguaro Gate?
Did see the video footage when they chopped the saguaro down. My understanding was that this was private property, not something that we would hope to see happen in the town. But
it wasn't a pretty picture, was it?
No.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw the video and I saw him taking the chainsaw and cutting about a foot off the top, I thought, I didn't know they did that to saguaros. I wonder if that's to make them grow better or faster. And then he took another swipe and another, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And the town got involved in that pretty quickly because we did get a lot of complaints. And I know even one of our council member Ziegler, was on the phone with me asking what in the world was going on. She sent me the video. She went up there to the gallery and talked to people, and she was able to get the folks to agree that probably wasn't the best idea. As you said, it's on private property. I know as somebody who has a couple of acres with some saguaros on it, that I can move my saguaros on my land. I can even take the saguaros down if I want to. Not that I would ever want to do that, but so that's kind of what happened there, and it was an unfortunate thing, but they did agree to replace the saguaros with some nice saguaros when the event is all over. So I'm hoping that's occurred, and I'm sure our council folks will follow up on that. So David, we talked quite a bit about this. I think we've covered everything that we wanted to cover and intended to cover, but is there anything that perhaps I missed or anything that you'd like to add before we close out the show?
No, I think that covers it, Terry. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, David. It's a pleasure having you on for the first time. We'll look forward to having you on again. To all of our residents up there in Dove Mountain and all our residents throughout our community, we certainly hope that if you have issues or concerns with special events or any other thing that might be going on in the town, that you bring those to our attention so we can address them. We've heard certainly some complaints about LIV Golf, but I will say on the other hand, I had quite a few people from Dove Mountain who spoke very highly of the event, enjoyed it a great deal, and they were hopeful that it was coming back. So I guess it kind of depends on your perspective, perhaps the location of your residence, how close it is to some of those loudspeakers and some of the golf holes themselves. But nonetheless, we will continue to work hard to make sure the quality of life for our residents is held at a very high standard, as that's certainly our vision, to make sure that we are continually raising the bar for the best quality of life for our residents. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Real Talk with the Town. Thank you for joining us. Until next time. Submit your questions by visiting maranaaz.gov/realtalk and we'll answer them right here. To receive notifications for new releases, remember to click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please follow the town on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date on current news and events.